Okay.
Cool. I'm going to wait a couple minutes to see if anybody else shows up.
Of course.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
You've had relatives.
What's that, sorry?
I know you've had relatives here this weekend.
Well, I went to them actually. Lucy has gone up to her stay with grandma and granddad for a week. Juma. So yeah, we kind of dropped her off yesterday. So missed your class, but I'll catch up.
And now you get a week free.
Well, sort of. Yeah, I get more time to work.
Plan on Lucy, just saying. Kid free is probably great.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have taken a week's holiday. That would have been much more entertaining, but no, I'm still working.
I have to confess, Julia, that's exactly what I've managed to get away with this last week. It's dropping my son off with the grandparents and taking a few days off work.
Oh, good for you.
I don't quite know how it worked out that way, but it was good.
It's okay to say you need a break from your children.
You know, speaking of that, because my brother has 2 little ones that stayed with me before we went to meet them, and they're 5 and 3.
Oh my God.
And they're just the cutest, but balls of energy. And my boys are older; they're 16 and 18, so it's like different. And so they had a few days on the boat without the kids, and then the first night, the oldest, he just had a meltdown, like. Meltdown crying for like 2 hours, and I'm like, I hope you had a nice break.
Welcome back to parenthood.
Well, and they just, you know, it's exhausting because they were with me and they were with grandma and grandpa. You know, that's for like 4 or 5 days. So.
All right, you guys, I'm going to pop off. Marie, just let me know if anybody else joins.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, and wait till you see what we have planned for you guys. Maria's going to show you next week a Monet. You're going to copy a Monet painting.
Wow.
So we're going to start incorporating masters into the cycle each month because we think you'll learn about color choices, and I think you guys are going to have a really great time. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. All right. Have a great time, everybody. We'll see you all later.
Okay. Bye.
Nice to see you, Leah. Cheers.
Yeah. I was thinking, because next month is like structures, and it made me think about like hay bales, you know, like those big round ones out in the field, or fence lines, or, you know, wineries. And I was talking to Leah, and she's like, I think we should incorporate like some masters to kind of see how they dealt with the subjects. And I thought that was a really good idea, because it is really good to work and copy masters and see how they used colors, especially with Monet, because I tend to go really bright colors, and he was very muted in his color palette, very soft. And so and his reflected light, he did, because he always loved so his series of the haystacks was in the mornings or in the evenings, and that light and how it would reflect from the ground up onto the hay bale. And so I think it's going to be fun. And this picture, it does have a little structure in here, which I kind of thought would be a fun, just a little bit like, you know, to start. But going forward, we have a lot of different mountains in this subject. Is kind of cutting this little path all the way to the back. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to, you know, practice our aerial perspective. I noticed on this printout, it appears a little bit more purple, like purpley haze, but in the picture, it's more yellow, I would say.
Yeah.
So I probably am going to go in between a little bit of that, because I noticed that when I was looking at it, I pulled out more purple, and muted purple sticks. And then when I was looking on my phone, I'm like, that's actually more of a yellow tint to it. So that's something that like Leah and I were talking about, color choices. And it's okay if you want to make it more purple and not yellow, as long as your values are right or close. So I'm going to leave that up to you if you want to paint it just like what you see on the picture, or if you want to maybe do more of a yellow. And like I said, I was looking at this picture when I was picking out my palettes, and it's a lot of green, purple, and more blue. And so I just chose the red orange because it's a lot of blue green, which is the complementary. So that's kind of where I was going with when I was choosing the underpainting color. And I thought that it would really sit pretty with these blue green colors on top of that red orange, especially down here in the grass. But again, I think that we've been working really hard at reading the picture and looking at our colors. So if you want to switch it up a little bit and try, you know, a variant of just orange versus red orange or whatever you have, it's not going to be wrong. Again, I sent the black and white picture to you so you can really look at it. That also helps me look at my values, like really what is dark. And it's just, I mean, the shadow here and some trees and a little bit right in here. The rest is like mid-tone to light. So I always find that interesting just when I'm looking at my picture. And whether we want to put in these little structures here, we might. I also like this idea of this valley, this pathway that kind of sneaks around through here. So I kind of probably would like to emphasize that a little bit. So let's start. Super simple. I'm going to do an alcohol wash. Hi, Claudia. Hi, Cindy. I've been busy talking. And so let's start out. These are my red orange sticks. I sent a picture earlier, but I'll take another picture. And I'm going to do some blue green with the mountains as the underpainting. You can do just red orange if you'd like. Try it out. So beginning. So what I'm talking about is the red orange. I'm going to do these front 3 planes in the red orange. These back ones, I'm going to use my lighter blue green colors. Okay. Normally I would do just the red orange for the entire thing, but I'm going to try this out, see what we get from it. So in the front, it's going to be more saturated. As we move back, it's going to be lighter and brighter. And so I'm going to just take my red here. It's like a maroon, and I'll do this on here so you can see what they look like too. So those are the 3. And I'm not gonna worry about this structure right this minute. I'm just gonna get in these lines. And I'm just gonna use my stick. If we had more trees, I'd probably do something a little different. I'm gonna move to my second stick here. More of a bright orange. I'm not gonna worry about the trees this moment. come in just a little lighter. Just kind of looking at where it ends. I thought about doing a Yellowstone National Park picture. The problem with the barn and the mountains and everything, it is such a national icon that it would take so much time to get everything just right. So I figured this is more about learning our aerial perspective and keeping on track of what we're doing versus, and now I'm moving into the blue-green, worrying about that mountain piece. But I can send you the picture that you can try it out. I'm just looking at this shape right here. We've got these shapes that kind of come up. So I'm just looking at, and I'm using my darker green and then my blue-green. I'm just looking down into the valley, and I might mix these two. And just come right up on this. I think I'll do, I'm gonna add some of this darker green in it. This other little ridge. And come back with that blue a little bit. Just come back over this to darken it just a little. There we go. I think that's going to be good. I'll take a picture of that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get some of this alcohol and wash it. And again, my painting's going to veer a little bit more to the purple side, and it's just the printer printed it out more of a purple. So if you want to look at the reference photo, it's going to have a little bit more of that yellow tint. If for those who didn't hear me, I wasn't sure if you were hearing that. I noticed later, I was like, this picture is a little bit more yellow in the back, which is okay. And I mean, I can add that later, but I'm going to kind of go a little bit more to the purple, which I think is going to look kind of nice tying this in, this roof. So, but again, it's not wrong, whatever you want to do. Okay, I'm going to start up here, the top. I'm just going to rub that in. going in the direction of this mountain. And I may have to lift some of that very distant mountain pigment. We'll see. This kind of comes down. And we've got this down. An angle. I believe this picture was taken in Switzerland. Get my paper towel here. I'm just lifting some of this off. Yeah, that's okay. There we go. Beautiful mountains. And let's come down. And just gonna blend, soft blend right in here. Because this actually comes out a little bit. And then comes down. That's the other piece, is sometimes you don't know what these are gonna dry. You put this color on, you're just not sure what it's gonna look like. So it's just adjusting. Got this bright hillside here. And I'm just not worried about the trees at this point. They're not a big part of this painting. And the structure is going to be just a very simple structure. So Okay. Just coming back in here. Same. Okay. There we go. Let it dry. Okay. Oops. I'll move it. Let's look at what we got going on. When you guys are done, send in, let me see your guys' underpainting. That's great, Claudia. That's pretty. Good. Very good. I noticed in the picture there's just a little bit of sky up in the corner. I'm not going to worry about it. It's just this little piece, and I guess that's a decision that we could make if we wanted to bring in more sky, is carve out some of this. I think I'm going to leave it as mountains and maybe drift just some clouds over the top, but that's always an option if you want to edit the photo. So I'm going to start with our darkest darks. So that's going to be good, Will. Very good. It's going to be our trees and some darks right in here. So I'm going to start out with a really dark green, and it's a new pastel. Just like this, like a dark blue-green. I'm just using the edge of it, and I'm just going to come in and just say, okay, a tree is going to live here. Very light. Maybe put this other one in here. Good, Cindy. Very good. I'm gonna try to be careful. These are even. I'm gonna maybe try to bring this one up a little bit so they aren't just exact. Come in here. Good, Julia. Very nice. Excellent. Just some distant trees. Still using this.
Is that a purple, Marie? Sorry, I was a bit slow there.
Yeah, it's like a new pastel.
Okay.
And I'll send you a picture of it. It's like a, whoops, broken, just like this little stick. It's like a blue-green. And you can use any stick you have. I'm just adding in the darks. I'm kind of looking at space-wise where everything is at, our darkest darks. I'm probably going to go ahead and add the building in. So just take your time measuring. You know, it's really not that big. So just getting our roof on the side. And we'll come in and define that a little bit for now. We've got a little bit of cast shadow. Let's see. I'm just going to leave it like that. Use another dark, same value. I'm going to go in with a dark green. And I'll show you what that is so you can see comparative. So you could see how green this is, and the other one is now looking more blue. So I'm just coming in again where the trees are. Light touch. Just down in here. Maybe just a little bit up in here. Maybe down in light. Okay. Now let's get some dirt down over this hill right here. This is like a rusty orange. It's kind of like a softer pastel. So you can see it. And we're going to come right over on this hillside and just bring some of that over. I'm dragging in the direction of this hill. It's kind of coming down. Just very light. Letting the underpainting show. I'll come right between these trees. Maybe just a little bit up here. Okay. So we've got more of like an olive green back in here, like an army green. So I'm going to go with a darker army green right over. So let me show you what it's going to look like over that peach. I'm just gonna lightly just drag it. Okay. We're gonna go to a more saturated green. So let's see, that's too dark. What do I have? Maybe this color here. Okay. So you can see now we're moving to more warm green, and I'm looking to add some more warm down here. So I'm just gonna come right in here. A little bit back in here. Brighter green up in here. Kind of lost that shadow here, so bring it back. It's kind of like this. Let me bring that up here. Okay. I'm going to put a dark maroon on the roof of that shed. So that's the color. I'm just going to come right over. Just to get some color on it. Okay. Now I'm going to go see how this is a little bit lighter. With this army green right here on the bottom. So see how we're moving from the dark all the way up to the lights. Now I'm just going to start popping in some of this using the side. Still not pressing super hard. And a little bit back in here, just where the highlights are. Okay. we're going to move back into that hill behind. Let's do this. It's a little more muted. If we had too bright of a color, then it would compete. So we just want to keep it very light. You can kind of carve right into that tree, and then we'll come back. It needs more of that orange. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. You guys send in where you're at so we can see where you're at. If you have any questions. And I really want this pathway to kind of glow. Like we have this evening sun coming through here, and I want that to pop out. So a way to do that is we're going to pick almost like a bright blue-green, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And it may seem a little crazy, but we're going to put it down in that pathway, and then we'll lay some lighter colors, and it'll really stand out. And I'm talking about this valley piece. And I'm trying to keep all of my sticks in value range. That way, if you're coming and looking for what you need, it's right there. I'm finding that helps me a little bit better when I'm looking. Okay. So we're going to need some muted blue grays and greens. Let's see here. Just kind of going through here to thinking about what side has the sun kind of shining on and which side is in shadow. It's going to kind of help determine what's going to be more blue versus green. Okay. So let's put in, actually, let me see where you guys are at if you want to send in pictures. This is blue-green. Beautiful. That looks great, Julia. Yeah, don't you love that red peeking through? Very nice. Good job, Will. Very nice. You can actually even make your trees a little darker if you want. Right behind that hillside.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the hills look great. Good. Very good. So I do need to get some color on these mountains, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of a bolder purple. It's a blue purple, and I'm just going to come right along this edge that's in shadow on this hillside. So I'm going to show you. And it's not going to be a lot. It's just going to be just on the bottom, just the bottom part. And I'll come over with another color. I might add just a little over here. I'm doing that because it's in shadow, it's bluer, and it's going to look really nice with the colors over it. So as we mute it down, you're going to see that pretty color underneath. So I'm going to take a picture so I can show you. Okay. I've got a gray green, and I'm just looking at this right here. See how that looks. I may need to adjust it. And I'm going more on the purple side, so let's see, what do I got here? This is a very muted purple. Go a shade lighter. It's kind of indicating where these hills are. And it's almost a little light right up in here. We need to go a little darker down in here. And just seeing where the colors land. That's too green. Maybe over here. That almost needs to be more blue. So let's try this. Blue-gray. Something like that. And this needs to be a little darker here in the shadow. I'm gonna come up again with like a darker purple and come in and carve this out a little bit more. So as we add the colors, then it's working to see, okay, adjusting. Or I can see right in here, this hillside needs to come forward more. This needs to be more bluer, right? To push it back. We've got this hillside here. And even darker over here. Darker blue. Let's see here. A muted purple. Need to get that sky in, but how are you guys doing? I don't want to move too fast. You're quiet today. It almost needs to be lighter. Let's get that back mountain in. Let's see here. So I'm looking at this gray. It's right above the purple. I'm going to put in here. And then I'll come over with different color, but Very soft. Let's see here. This is just a real light blue. Just touching right up on here. And then we need, let's see. That might work. Just some variation. Okay. I'll kind of wait right here. Let me see where you guys are at. Send in your pictures. Looking for a green. Might be it. Very nice. Good. Yep. So great. You're getting the right values in, Will. So now with your purple over here on that mountain, go ahead and go a shade lighter.
Yeah.
And a little bit duller if you have that, and just kind of brush right along the edge there to indicate that face hitting the light. Yeah, that looks great.
Okay. Thanks.
Good. Yeah, good job, Julia. It's looking good. And your sky, or actually it's the back mountain, don't be afraid to just kind of come over that edge a little bit, just to soften it. But I love down here between your trees with that orange on the pink. Very nice. And it's just building it up, building the layers. Working those edges, which we'll get to down in here. On this hillside, it's not going to be as blue-green. It's going to be more of a warmer green because it's closer to us, but still lighter in value. I feel like I need to add a little bit more green to it though. This is the green I just used. Just to kind of build up that layer here. I think that's the same one. That is too. Need like a kind of a it shifts. This hillside is coming down and then it's like it comes down like a cliff almost. So using your pastel to make marks. I'm just kind of tapping here. I don't want to go and draw a line down the side of the hill. It's not going to look right. So if I'm using the edge and just going up like there's little trees, it's going to be more believable. And that's all I'm doing right in here, just vertical marks. And then you just come back in with your orange. To say, okay, this is where the light's hitting right in here. That's pretty bright. Which is okay. Light green. Just in those highlighted areas. I'll take a picture. This area right up here on this hillside, I just took the edge of my new pastel. And so I was just kind of going up and down, just scrubbing up and down a little bit instead of doing, and this is just a dark navy blue, instead of doing an outline, drawing an outline, we want to get away from doing that. So just add in with your dark pastel little marks. And then maybe I'll put in this other little one. Back with those lines. That's about right. Put some trees down in here. I'm just using that dark blue. We wanted to make this one just a little bit bigger. So we'll come back up in here. Just like that. And when you come out in front of this plane, this hillside, then we want, in order to push this tree forward, we need to put in a lighter value in green to push that back a little bit. So we do that with a lighter blue-green right down in here. To push that back. Same with this side over here. I don't want to do that. I think it's best just to leave it like that. Nope, wrong color. Might be more of this. It's just in shadow, so it's hard to see. So this bottom piece, I can tell down here needs to be darker, like a, not as green, but more dark blue, maybe. See if that works. It was competing too much. This is just that periwinkle purple, and so I'm just kind of adding some of it here and there. Yeah, that looks great, Claudia. That's beautiful. I love it. Very nice. I love how you did the trees. And you can even lighten up that little pathway valley if you want in back, but I think it's great. and the texture in the mountains is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The sky, well, I don't know if it's really sky, I just made it a little more yellow because I didn't really know what to do with it. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, so in the actual picture, it is kind of more yellow, and it works well with what you have going on in the foreground. So I think it's great. You can take some of that yellow and just, if you want, pop it a little bit here, or maybe like up in here. And even maybe just a little bit on your trees.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks good. And we haven't even put the lighter color on the roof. I was just doing that pinky color, which is what it is. And if I have this, I kind of look to see what else I can add. So even a lighter. Just brightening up those edges. Not too hard, but I'm bringing some of that. Okay. And then we can have I would say you can add some even bright yellows right down here in the grass too. Maybe add that. I don't know. Just a little bit down in here. And it's just not too much of this bright green. I'm just a little bit. Just a little bit. You can put in these little flowers if you want. Add that back in there. If you do, be careful not to do too bright. And even that darker red that we had, it's kind of nice. Just looking at the negative shapes. Yep. Do a little more of that. Shading. It's like a dark olive green. Oh, that's okay. So what you can do, Cindy, is you can take your finger and just measure. So just take your finger and measure the distance like this. Just set it on, like mine's kind of like off right here. So I need to extend mine out even. And that happens as you're refining. So you can take like a pencil and just say, okay, it's this long to here and to here. So then you just drag it out, right? Just like that. You can also take a ruler and say, okay, this is an inch. So you're going an inch at an angle. Bring your line up. So here it is. Just like that. And then you can also hold your pastel and just say, okay, it's from here to here to here, and just mark it. Just like that. And it doesn't have to be exact, but that's a quick way. And you just use your pastel. And then you can hold it like this at an angle. So like mine kind of needs to go more down. So just cut off the edge right there. But I like what you've done with your mountains in the back, Cindy. It looks really good. All the blending. But try it out with your ruler.
Okay.
And if you feel like you're mucking around with something for too long, then just move away from it. Move on to something else. I've found that sometimes if I'm just sitting there messing around, it's just make it worse. And have the pastel do your work. You know, just by making marks with it dragging down like this, you don't have to actually draw, if that makes sense. You're just dragging it lightly. And I don't want harsh lines, so I tap. Then I'll come in with maybe just a lighter color here. And if you come right up along the edge, you are kind of creating, but it's a broken line. I'm not drawing this line going down. You don't want to do that. And then it's just refining. I wanted to not wanting it too much of a harsh line. Like, just dragging it down.
Marie, I'm gonna go. I'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
Thank you for
Bye.
today.
Bye, Claudia. Everyone's quiet today.
Got grandparents over at the moment who are coping with my son downstairs. It's quite interesting to listen and hear what's happening in my absence.
Are they managing okay?
I'll find out, but it sounds like there's been a few incidents.
Uh-oh. It always happens, right? When you're stepping away for just not very long and they're just like, okay, let's see what we can do.
This is my chance.
Here's my chance. That's right. Gosh, I forgot about all the little trickeries watching my niece and nephew. They were funny, especially the older one. He's pretty cute. What? Lay down. Yeah, he was like, oh, we weren't supposed to have that many. Whatever it was, I don't even remember. It's like, oh, or we weren't supposed to watch that show. Like, you little stinker. Oh, yeah.
Little monkeys.
Yep. The joys of kids. They are fun. Yeah, so this one has really definitely went more purple, which I actually like. Playing up the color, I guess. But even still, I have more of an orangey color here. But you could definitely even add in yellows. The only problem with this 500 grit is I just can't get as many layers. Only downside. So it's like it really needs to be, I mean, I'm pressing hard and it doesn't really want to pick up anything. You almost have to like spray it. This doesn't want to lay down. That's all right. Yeah, that's okay. If you do need spray, might be good. They'll be glad to see you, Will, I'm sure. Then when you ask them, were you good? And they're going to be like, yes, we were so good.
Yeah. The trouble is I don't get an honest report from the grandparents either. They're desperate for him to have been a good boy, you know.
Love it.
They love kind of getting you back for all the times when you were a kid. Grandparents.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and my one boy that came with us this weekend for the trip, the little ones were trying out all sorts of things on their parents, and I was laughing, and he's like, oh, they're so ornery. And I thought, you did the same thing. What are you talking about? Nice try. I think about this painting, you could really just keep going and going and going. It kind of reminds me of that canyon with the trees, those bright like red rocks that we painted.
It took me about a week to finish that one, I think.
Did it?
Yeah, I just kept going with it, kept coming back and seeing something else. And
Uh-huh.
it had about 4, final sprays.
I know. Well, I think Julia was the one that posted, like, how do you know when you're done? How do you know you're
When your
done?
fingers start kind of like, you can't actually see what color your fingers are. So
Yes, yes.
just give up.
And I say a lot of times now, like if we were in an actual studio working together, a lot of times it's just standing back and looking at what you've done, because we're so close that sometimes when you stand back and just walk away, and then just look at it and see if there's anything that you need to do. Sometimes there's not a whole lot you need to.
I still struggle with my color selection.
The
It's
color,
like,
yeah.
it's just, you look at it and then when you put it on the paper, it just is entirely different.
It is entirely, that's why it's hard for me when I'm trying to select some sticks, but as you can tell, I'm still pulling and pulling, because when we do those underpaintings, I know some of the greens and I know some of the blues, but if we're changing up the palettes, it can be a little challenging for sure, because it just may not look what you thought.
It never does.
Yep. And that's okay. That's okay. Like I can see. Like even over on this side here. And sometimes it's just intuitive that you decide you need a certain color, and that's the hard part, is you're just, once you start painting, you just say, okay, I really need this, and you just reach for it. And that's the hardest part, is explaining why. But sometimes I just have to sit and look at it for a little bit. Because what we see in the picture is 2D, and there is a lot of different mountains coming in, and so trying to get each mountain to push back.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I'm struggling with at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is a really tough thing to do. So it does, that's why I keep reaching for different sticks, because I'm trying to get, if I put too much of a light color here, then that has to shift everything behind it. So then you have to make a decision, okay, what makes sense? What is more saturated? It's in the front. So then I know, okay, I need to make this darker in the front and leave what is behind it lighter. But that's good. You're recognizing it. You're recognizing what you need to do. Like, I can see this edge needs to be a little lighter. And then what's this? Running out of my testing. Like, this is bothering me. This.
This is where you realise you just still have enough colours.
What was that?
And I said, this is where you realise you still don't have enough colours.
Oh, isn't it crazy?
You're like, no, that's wrong.
I agree. I've kind of just started buying sticks by themselves.
Yeah.
Rather than actual sets.
Yeah, it's tempting with the sets because they look so beautiful, don't they? But you don't always need everything.
Well, yes. And then I realized, like, okay, some of the sets just keep giving me the same blues.
Yeah.
And so then I just have to go through and say, okay, what is it that I need? And that's most of the time is like I'm looking at my actual set or my palette of what I have, and then going through and saying, okay, do I have enough muted purples, muted blues, landscapes generally are greens, blues, purples, oranges, and that's kind of what I focus on. What do I have? And then most of the time you just kind of make do.
You end up with something that looks a bit like a rainbow.
Oops. That's all right. It's always, I mean, sometimes I do the same picture a couple times.
Mm.
Or sometimes I'll do like a little study, color study, to see if the composition actually works, and that's if it makes sense. Because a lot of times maybe you'll get it and you'll start into it and it's just not gonna work. A lot of it is just these edges where the lights and darks. I do like to try to bring in, if I'm using one color, I try to get that somewhere else in the picture. It is important. Let me take a picture here. Send in what you have, you guys. Let me see before we go. Good. So this yellow in your field, Will, I think that would be good to just glaze over in your back, in the back hill, like right back in here. Yeah. I think I'm kind of doing that in mine too, because I feel like it's a little disconnected with my bright orange and my yellows, and so just by warming that up a little bit,
Okay.
It's gonna really bring that forward. So see, just adding a little bit of that yellow.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a soft. That looks really good. So before we go on your trees, Will, so now where you're at is take that green that you have down in here, that light green, and just kind of carve into the trees like you're like negative, right? And then this hillside, you're gonna go a shade lighter than what you have on there around this area. That way it pushes this tree forward.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you don't have to do a whole lot over here, but it's just those edges around that tree to push it forward. Right?
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. And then don't forget your cast shadow on your building.
Yeah. Yeah, needs a bit of work down there.
Yeah. Well, I had to muck around with mine, and it's still not perfect, but it's there.
What color did you use on your cast shadow, Marie?
On right here.
On the on around the kind of cabin thing.
Oh, down here on the bottom. I use this like golden yellow. Here, I'll take a picture of it. This is better lighting like this. So the top one is what I use down below, and then the bottom color is the one I used kind of up into the sky. Are you talking about this yellow, Julia?
No, it's actually where you're around your cabin. You've got kind of, I don't know, is that dark, like a dark green? Yeah, there, around
right
there.
Here. Oh, okay. I used this dark green, and I'll take a picture of it so you can see it. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of on the warmer side. So here it is on the paper. So it's kind of dark.
Okay.
And then over it, I kind of just dragged like this blue-green over it just a little bit to kind of tame it down, because it was a little dark, and I'll take a picture of that for you. And then let's see if I can get a close-up. Oh. Let's see. It's kind of slow on the connection for whatever reason. Okay. Did it come across?
Yeah.
So there's the blue-green, and then you can see it. I just kind of scumbled just a little bit over it. And let me see. I have my frame that I can put around it, because like I said, that kind of helps you look at it. So let me see if I can find it here. Because down below is where I've been testing all those colors. I can tell that it's a little hard for you to see. I know because I've been working it, but for you, it'd be helpful if I could put a frame around it, like a mat. I only have like 10,000 of them, but when you need them, oh gosh, it's always like, where the heck did they go? Okay, let's see here. So let me see if this fits, but there's the bottom.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah.
So that kind of helps to see to get all that, what I say, noise out of the way. All my testing strips. So let me take a picture and then you can, that'll be better.
I feel like I'm going to be doing some work on this for a while.
Well, and it is. This is, like I said, it's deceiving, right? Because it feels like it's easy. But like we were talking about, when you're putting on your color here, you're realizing, uh-oh, I need to adjust this, or I need to adjust, which one do I adjust? That's when we think, okay, we're getting warmer as we move forward. So you're going to see more detail as you come forward. So just keep that in mind as you're deciding, what do I do next if you get caught like that. So did you want to send in where you're at, Julia, or did you already? Good job,
Yeah, no,
Cindy.
I'll do that right now.
So yeah, so Cindy, you can work on your shed.
I've added more grass to make it seem smaller and taking up less of the.
Perfect. Yeah.
So.
Yep. Perfect. Oh yeah, that's great, Julia. That looks great. Yeah, you've left the underpainting, which I love. It really looks good. You should be happy. Yeah.
I think I need to do a little bit more work on my right-hand mountain. It's
With the right hand, yes. Yes,
yeah,
I can see. Okay. Yeah.
God, they look amazing.
I think it looks great. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I would suggest is maybe just step away for a little bit and give yourself a break. And then you may feel like you just don't need to go and do anything. It's like when you back away and just look at it, you're like, oh, okay, this is fine. I don't need to muck around with it. So definitely take a break and then come back and see if you need to do something different. Does anyone else want to send anything over before class? And go ahead and send your stuff. You can keep sending it if you have any questions. So good job, everyone. I love it.
Thanks very much. Great.
Yes. So next week, we will have a Monet, probably one of his haystacks. We'll practice on working with a very limited palette, very light. And then we'll work into something similar from a photo and kind of apply what we learned from that. So, all right.
lovely.
Thank you.